What's up, folks? This is the Couch Connect. My name is Joab, and today I'm hanging out with Mike, but I've known him as MJ. What's up, MJ?
What's up, Agato? Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too. So, I think you have multiple names from different spheres of where you've been.
Yes.
So, what name should I refer to you with? What is your most common name?
MJ is most common.
Okay, MJ.
Yeah.
All right. MJ. So MJ is a chef. I was going through your Instagram.
Yes.
From the description in your Instagram, you say you are a private chef,
Yes.
a restaurant consultant,
Yes.
a casual and course meal dining expert, and a weekly meal prep expert.
Yes.
So I want us to go through those so that I can get a good picture of who you are. Okay.
Okay.
So you are a private chef. What does that private chef mean?
I'm more of a roaming chef.
Okay.
So, say, case in point, you're hosting a dinner, you have the food, or you don't have the food. You don't have the energy or the mental capacity to start cooking. So, you need someone.
Yeah.
And you look up Instagram, you see a couple of names, and you probably see what comes up as, the first, name that pops up as a private chef.
Yeah.
You call or you reach out on Instagram via direct messaging. I respond, and we talk, and I come through for you.
Okay, so you come and cook for me. I don't need to have the food. You can bring the food with you.
Yes, so I provide the service of sourcing for the ingredients.
Okay.
I have a couple of people whom I know who are in the supply chain industry, so those are the people who help me. So basically, I'll curate a menu. Once I fly the menu by you, you like the menu. I populate the ingredient list on my end. And then I go source for the ingredients. So sometimes, you know how life goes sometimes. You may be liquid, you may not be liquid. So in some circumstances, I source for the ingredients with my own money, and then we, reconcile at the end of the day.
Okay.
Or we give estimates on ingredient costs, and then that is sent. And then we go ahead with the shopping, and then we come to you and throw down. So,
Okay.
So we'll just come throw down. I think maybe what I would say would be a different thing of the private chef, myself as a private chef, is I'll come and I like to interact with my clients and their guests. So that interaction is solely what makes me who I am, as opposed to just the cooking. So the interaction, and then just explaining what we're doing, how we decided to choose this menu, how we learnt of it, just giving a background history of such things. Yeah.
Okay. I envy you, man. Because I feel like you're living the dream,
Yeah, I think never in my wildest dreams would I have thought, maybe when I was 10 years old, that I'd be a private chef in Nairobi and possibly come up as some of the most recommended chefs. Never.
Damn.
I wanted to do literature.
Okay, so become a writer or a teacher.
I in high school I liked reading.
Yeah.
I was one of the best essay writers.
Okay.
I think I would do a lot of fiction.
Yeah.
And I would just picture it in such a way that you'd feel like you're also reading a novel. So that sphere of literature made me really think about literature. So there was that literature aspect, and there was also law.
Okay.
So it was a consideration.
So you consider becoming a lawyer, you consider becoming a writer, a teacher probably.
Yes.
And somehow you ended up in...
So funny enough, I ended up in business.
Okay. For your training.
So the training was not to bring me to culinary arts.
Okay.
The training was, so I went into school, I did a Bachelor of Commerce, and I specialized in marketing.
Okay.
So I once I graduated, in between even my graduation, I had an interest in food.
Yeah.
So it came out as a hobby.
Okay.
So occasionally I would cook at home, or I would cook for my friends. Until now, it became a thing where, why don't you think about this as a large scale business?
Yeah.
So that's what people would tell me. But I mean, you know, an African household, you've graduated, you need to look for a job.
True. You're not gonna be home cooking meals.
Yeah. So I looked for work.
Yeah.
I got into work. I worked as an admin assistant.
Yeah.
In a medical facility, and interestingly, working there also somewhat wanted to pull me to the direction of medicine.
Okay. It seems like you had so many ingredients that were being poured into
Exactly.
into your pot.
Yeah.
You know,
So it was more like I had worked with that facility for a while in such a way that I would easily read an X-ray film.
Damn.
Or I could tell a mass through a CT scan.
Damn.
Like, it was just...
So you are like a radiologist.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's where part of the interest came in. But then again, I think I feel like I'm much more of a hands-on person. Not to say that radiology wouldn't have been the direction, but hands-on with my hobby,
Yeah.
the interest. There are times from high school, I'd come home on holiday and I'd watch Food Network from morning till evening.
Damn.
And I wouldn't get bored.
That's a real passion, man.
Yeah, so that's what pushed me to this direction.
Okay, so when you are cooking at home, are you in? So I'm talking about when you were cooking at home after
Yes.
graduation. So
Yes.
were you wearing like chef's clothing and all the white stuff and the white hat?
Not necessarily. Funny enough, I don't like the white hat.
Actually, why do chefs wear that white hat in the first place?
I think just looking at culinary arts in general and just how the hospitality industry is, how there are regulations and a chef has to look a certain way.
Yeah.
And then also, I mean, the thing to do with hygiene.
Okay.
You'll see a lot of chefs maybe in restaurants or hotels don't have long hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are some of the things to also just help not have, hair follicles on plates.
So you know what I just did right now? I took a look at your hair. It doesn't look very short, man.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Not. So, I mean, I really didn't like it. I once had an opportunity when I was still looking. I had an opportunity to go to, what do you call this place in Karen? Karen Country Club.
Yeah.
For an internship. So that was my first interaction with a hotel.
Yeah.
So my mum had seen the interest.
Yeah.
So this comes after I left working.
Yeah.
That was 2017 September. So when I stopped working there, my mum was like, you need to look for work.
Yep.
She would send me links for jobs.
And these are cooking jobs now?
No.
Okay.
So like I told you, African household,
Yeah.
you need to, have a white collar job, get your work, get your money, move out, get a house, buy a car,
Yeah.
get married, have children. And
The old shebang.
happily ever after. So I think when she probably noticed that I'm not seeking any interest in the links,
Yeah.
then she was like, okay, this guy is actually quite interested in food. So that's how she had a friend of a friend who knew the executive chef at Karen Country Club. And I got an opportunity to go and intern.
Okay. So as an intern, were you interning as a chef or?
So it was more of a way to propel me because we don't know where this is going to go.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't know where things are going to go. So So I went in there as an intern to become a chef. And one day probably when work in a place like Current Country Club or any other hotel.
Yeah.
So I ended up there. And it wasn't the best experience.
Okay. Don't tell me people are throwing all sorts of, I don't know.
No.
things at you.
Things weren't flying
Okay.
over the kitchen. No plates. No stuff. But just generally the hostility of the space, and the overworking. While I understand people need in this industry, you need some kind of grit
Yeah.
and tough skin. I didn't feel like that was the way.
Yeah.
I would get to work at 8, and I leave at 8 p.m. So I mean that's 12 hours. I know the people who do 17, 16.
Yeah.
But not to take away the hard work from it. It just wasn't it.
Yeah.
Being what's the word? Looked down upon sometimes, as you don't know what you're doing, or you could be put on the prep line to remove the casings on garlic,
Yeah.
and you have like 20 kilos of garlic.
Damn.
So so it was an interesting experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
20 kilos of garlic, and you're gonna.
So
how,
we're
how do
there
your fingers feel at the end of this experience?
We're very garlicky. So we're there with other interns as well, doing the same thing. The others who are washing vegetables and chopping onions, chopping tomatoes. The people who are chopping potatoes and other things. So we were basically a brigade, or a free labor for the hotel, because then again you're not being paid.
Yeah.
You use your own cost, and mind you, if you're interning, there's no source of income. You're probably getting income from money from somewhere, a stipend, maybe from your parents, and that's what's propelling you. So it was tough.
Would you say that during this time when you were at Current Country Club, that your superiors were not friendly enough to teach you, to make you become better like them?
Maybe just picking out individuals.
Okay.
There was some who were kind. Others would just slam you with words, because it's a very vulgar language oriented space.
Yeah.
So you're being shouted at, or you'll see things like someone telling you, why aren't you doing that? Or very abusive in terms of speech. Yeah. So I think that is what really took away the enjoying the experience bit of it from actually the learning bit of it. But funny enough, I was there for 2 weeks.
Oh.
I mean,
how long did that 2 weeks feel like, though?
That felt like 2 months, man.
Damn.
It was too long. It was too long. But it was 2 weeks because of an opportunity I came across.
Okay. Good riddance.
Yeah.
So you got a new opportunity.
So one of our friends, the mom, was trying to put up a recipe book for African dishes, and there were like 100.
Okay.
So I was asked if I could come in as the chef to help compile and probably edit some of the things, and I asked for timeout
From the restaurant, from
from
the
now
workplace.
the head sous chef.
Yeah.
And I knew I would come back, but things were just different. So I ended up doing this project. The project was for 2 weeks, so it was very intense, very long hours, because you can imagine it's a cookbook, pictures of steps, 100 recipes. It was insane.
And so, would you be cooking the foods while you're preparing this cookbook?
So the cookbook came as should I call it a skeleton?
Okay.
So there were recipes, but they just needed to be arranged, and just outlining the steps, seeing if some of the steps were actually necessary, or
Yeah.
just trying to clean it up as well. But most of the work was going into the cooking steps and then the pictures. Cooking steps, pictures.
So this is an African cookbook.
Yes.
What is the name of this book? Do you remember?
Honestly,
Can I find it anywhere online or
I,
in cookbook
I, I,
stores?
I could get the contact. That
Okay.
was Professor Moshe.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'm sure I got a couple of Couch Connect fans who would love
Yes.
to have a copy, and we're probably gonna put this in the link
Definitely.
describing this video. But we're talking about African food now. I mean, we're gonna go in so many different places, and that's what the
Okay.
Couch Connect is.
That's fine.
So I compare African foods to foods from other cultures.
Mm-hmm.
What is your take on when you look at specifically Kenyan food? I tend to feel like Kenyan food is spiceless, and so people from other cultures can probably find it to be very, bland.
It's very bland.
Okay. So I'm not the only one.
Unfortunately enough, it's cutting across. It is what it is. But when you look at how things are right now, is we've borrowed things, because Kenyan cuisine. Because even the question, what is Kenyan cuisine? There's so many things.
Yeah.
There's so many things. We have food from Western Kenya. We have food from Central Kenya. So I think Swahili food,
It's a bit spicy.
it's more bold in flavor.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's more bolder in flavor. But now you see, we borrowed things like adding things like garlic powder, paprika,
Yeah.
cumin. Those are borrowed because
Which are
of
in our culture.
exactly.
Originally.
Yeah. So maybe some of the things, if they're cooked with certain individuals, then they have quite some flavor. But traditionally, some of those things are just the way they are. When you look at maybe the Maasai's, the way they do the meat, they probably just grill it. And I don't know whether there was back in the day. I don't know whether there was easy access to things like salt.
Yeah.
So perhaps it was just grill the meat and eat the meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As blunt as it is.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate, because if you look at other cuisines, and particularly West African food, away from the heat, it's really very bold in flavor.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah, true.
traditional.
True.
It's traditional. So you look at things like egusi soup, for example. It's very bold in flavor.
Yeah, true. We even had a guest on the Couch Connect. Her name was Effie, and we were talking about it. I had a food once called pepe soup, and that food is spicy, man. And I'm this guy who avoids hot food.
Yeah.
Like spicy hot food.
Yes.
And the reason is I feel like growing up with my cultural food, which is very bland, low in spice. I enjoy that kind of food, and so when I eat food that is spicy, I'm like, man, this food is very comfortable. Why do you make it very uncomfortable by adding all this, several Scovilles of heat
Scoville
into it?
levels going all the way up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I struggle with that. But what about? So, do you think we've also borrowed from European food into our culture? Maybe?
A lot. People who are also, maybe let's just look at restaurants, for example.
Yeah.
We've borrowed techniques and styles of cooking to be able to, appreciate our food more. We have, there's a chef who owns a restaurant here in Nairobi, Kim Kiare, and his food is he employs French techniques because he has a liking for French techniques. So French techniques into Kenyan food or Kenyan ingredients, and just trying to maintain them as original as they are, So it's not a primitive way of cooking, So it's just borrowing techniques and improving.
Okay, so if I may ask,
Yeah.
Every time that I've seen food, man, like I watch this. I've been watching this show called The Blacklist. And there's this character in the show. His name is Raymond Reddington.
Yes.
And Raymond Reddington is very fine. His lifestyle is very fine. He has a taste for finer things in life. And one thing that I find to be very unique is his taste in food, and he's always talking about this, different types of foods. And so I was going through your Instagram. I also saw a bunch of this. I think they're European words, in food. I saw something like tilapia and pepilote.
Right. So that's the thing I'm telling you about, like borrowing techniques.
Yeah. So when the food is called this, is that food, that name given to the food, is that the technique in making the food?
Yeah. So like, for example, like that tilapia and papillote is a very European.
I even pronounced it wrong. I'm sorry.
It's a very European way of cooking, like Middle Eastern, Greek.
Okay.
So basically, it's fish cooked in a parcel with aromatics.
Okay, in a parcel. What do you mean by
so
in a parcel?
by a parcel, you see like baking paper,
Yeah.
parchment paper.
Yeah.
So it's basically the fish on the paper,
Yeah.
and then you have lemon slices, you have salt, black pepper, and then you add aromatics. Maybe like if you'd like to have some garlic in there.
Yeah.
And then you just seal it. You seal it, and then you bake it.
Okay.
So when you bake it, that parcel, what it does, it steams the fish.
Okay.
So like we do that. So it's tilapia, because tilapia is very known to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do that with tilapia because it's also easily accessible.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I also saw something else. Onion soubise. Is that what you call it?
An onion soubise sauce.
Okay. So what is that?
So it's also just the way, maybe in lemon terms, I would say the way you'd make sauce for, what do you call this thing? For lasagna.
Yeah.
The white sauce. So it goes through the same process.
Okay.
So only that it's onion, and then the onion is cooked. It's cooked low and slow, and then it's blended, so it can also resemble the lasagna sauce, which we call a bechamel sauce. So it's so borrowed things. But looking at people like now me, people who have so much interest in these things, is I don't have an opportunity of, or rather yet, I don't have an opportunity yet to travel out and experience these things from other countries.
Yeah.
But if the knowledge is there and the theory is there and the skill set is there, then why not try it?
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, some of these things we try and we see, okay, this is good.
Okay, great.
So that we can give our Kenyan diners different experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah. So different experiences so that they can also, enjoy. And it's more of win-win, because once we do it and it turns out well, then we're happy.
Okay, so then, now that you talk about it, how do you get to do all this? Do you use stuff like not Instagram, but like YouTube or getting cookbooks that would teach you how to make this food?
So I'd say a lot of these things are, when you have an interest in something, you look for resources or knowledge of where it is. So like, for example, cookbooks.
Yeah.
Cookbooks by people who are doing their stuff, icons for me like Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah.
Or, other chefs, the guys on YouTube, like Joshua Wiseman. So those are the places I've been accessing some of the knowledge. And just basically looking at YouTube videos, you just go Google or you YouTube a dish and it comes and you just sift through. Sometimes you go on Wikipedia and search the dish and just try and understand, where does it come from? What are the key ingredients? What can you substitute with if it's not available here? So basically for me, it's more of trial and error. And I don't know whether to say unfortunately or fortunately enough, but a lot of the things that I have tried out are like I try it out on the day off.
Okay.
As opposed to having to practice it.
Practice for
yeah, because we have a way, if you hear, say for example, like a butternut soup.
Yeah.
Butternut soup, as natural as it is, you'd boil it. If you'd want to, make the soup, you boil it and probably season it with salt.
Yeah.
But now when you start looking at other things, say for example, adding other components, other variables, things like onion or garlic, and then you come play around with spices, warm spices. So at the moment you can't taste it, but when you think about the ingredients, you sort of like taste it in your mind.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, they work. Cinnamon and say, for example, nutmeg, or ginger. They're warm spices, so they work together with something sweet like butternut.
Damn.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of trial and error too in there.
A lot of times it is, but then
Yeah.
again, you also just have to go to work for a client, and you have to know your stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only celebrity chef I think I know is Gordon Ramsay, and mostly because of his TV show.
Yes.
And it's because it's been out there.
Hell's
But
Kitchen.
Yes, Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
How influential are these celebrity chefs in how you cook your food?
My admiration of someone like Gordon Ramsay is he's put in the work,
Yeah.
and he's a true testament to hard work pays. I mean, look at him right now. He's approaching his 60s.
Yeah.
But he's still at it, you know. He's still as successful as probably he would have wanted to. So I look at such scenarios and look at myself, and I'm like, okay, these are things that can be achieved.
Yeah.
So the mentality I even keep and I put in my head, and even I share with some of the guys I work with, is today may not be it. Today may not be the day I'm going to probably do a gig worth 1 million. But one day it's going to give because of the consistency and just not giving up. Because there are days it's hard.
Yep.
It's hard because the times we have events for clients, and we'd be there close to 20 hours, 22 hours.
Damn.
So,
that's pure grit, man.
Yeah, so if you give up at hour 17, then you know you've not pushed it enough.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that I borrow from these guys, because they show that these things can be done, and even their teaching styles. I've done some master classes by them, and those are the things you learn. You learn because a chef world is basically learning every other day. Yeah. The things I learn every other day, the things, because we always say like a recipe could be the same today, but you'd have inspiration to do it a different way tomorrow.
And the taste will be different.
Yeah. So it's just trying to have different ways of doing things, but achieve the same goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, have you had an opportunity to work with other chefs who've been in the trade for a couple, maybe years longer than you?
I haven't, although I've worked with people who share the common interests of, you know, food.
Yeah.
And its style and its way of cooking and its flavor. So I've had instances where I've worked with people. We've collaborated in things. I have a friend I collaborated an event with in Kilifi.
Yeah.
And it was more of, you know, traveler coming to Kilifi to showcase his skill set with ingredients that are dominant to that particular place.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not like taking, the tilapia that I know of from where we come from and taking it there. So it's basically using what's there.
Yeah.
And all the skills and everything that I have learned to create an experience.
Has there been a time when you tried another chef's food? So that's why I was basically asking this question. So when you try another chef's food, how would it taste like? Especially if you've cooked the same food. Do you think you will make if two chefs follow the same recipe, would that taste come out the same?
Well, when you look at the structure of say restaurants, for example, a restaurant kitchen it's guided by principles and recipes. Yeah. So like, for instance, if you've come up with a menu, the recipe then should be the same.
Yeah.
So when I cook it, it has to be the same, and when somebody else cooks it, it has to be the same because everything is measured.
Yeah.
But then again, there's this thing that people say is chefs' hands are different.
Okay.
The way we'd have different fingerprints. Yeah. So there's a way in which I can make something and it would taste good with the same ingredients, and somebody else would do it with the same ingredients and it probably wouldn't taste the same.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think what I say is about cooking is put your soul into it, put everything into it, because why are you doing it in the first place?
Yeah.
So if you're not enjoying it, then
True.
it beats the point.
True. Another thing that I've seen, you're talking about enjoying food, and I see many people who cook. These are probably not chefs, but people like me. When I cook food, when after standing in that kitchen, man, hats off to you. You stand for 20 hours. I stand in the kitchen for what? 1 hour. My legs are killing me. My back is killing me.
Yeah.
And then the smell of the food has also killed my taste buds.
So you don't feel like eating anymore.
So I don't feel like eating anymore. So what about you guys? I don't know, you spend 20 hours of your day in this kitchen working for a particular client. So at the end of the day, do you still feel like eating food? Or how is that experience like?
There's something we always say, chef's stomach. So the thing is, looking at the structure of a day, client is hosting, the things that we're cooking, and the nature of the kitchen is taste season. So there's a lot of tasting going on.
Okay.
There's a lot of tasting going on, but it doesn't necessarily equate to a full meal by the end of the day.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like, you're done with work and you have a hankering for something specific. And unfortunately, sometimes it's more of dirty food.
Okay.
So
What is dirty food?
basically junk food.
Okay.
So we run for KFC or some greasy noodles, like
Yeah.
chow mein noodles. Like you have that craving, or sometimes you just want to go home and eat cereal.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So sometimes but then again, looking at our bodies, we just have to take care of them at the end of
Yeah.
the day. So we hydrate through the day. You need to take lots of water because it's the water that also helps with the, just
Standing.
standing and the fatigue because it's quite hot also in the kitchen. And sometimes we just purpose. So like times when I'm going to work and I have my team, then we actually need to have breakfast.
Okay.
So usually as I buy ingredients for work, I make sure I've bought stuff that people can actually have for breakfast so that we can eat that, so that we have something to carry us through the day.
Yeah.
And sometimes, at the end of the day, probably you don't feel like eating, you probably have a doggy bag, carry it home, or if you choose to just eat it there, you'll just eat it there. But funny enough, every other time, like when I have long days, I just want to eat a salad.
Yeah. It's something very simple.
Just something light and fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes that's just how it is. And other times you're tired. You just want to go and sleep.
Damn, man, I don't see how I'm going to be cooking this, this tasty tilapia and papillote. I hope I say that correctly this time. And then I'm going to go home to eat cereal. And I leave everybody else to enjoy my tasty food. Do you ever find yourself judging other people when they're cooking, especially when you visit their homes in their kitchens?
That thing of judging food, it's usually such a debate. There's something I always say is when someone has gone out of their way to cook for me, I have no what do you call it? I don't even judge the food because it's a very kind gesture.
Yeah.
For someone to just go out of their way. I have no business judging that food. They've gone out of their way to actually prepare it. But when it's a situation where I'm paying for something and it's not good, then we have a problem.
Have you ever found yourself saying I don't know, you want to walk into the kitchen and help out, or I don't know, I'd give some advice to the chef in a restaurant, especially?
Of course, sometimes we feel like doing that.
Yeah.
But since we have waiting staff, then we give them our grievances.
Yes.
We tell them, like this actually isn't it. This isn't it. I went to a place with a friend, and I'll not mention the space. And we ordered pizza, and it was a vegetarian pizza. But when this pizza came, we were, you try and look at what you ordered and what came, and it doesn't look it.
Yeah.
And even just the taste, so it had spinach. So look at spinach cooked with onions separately, and then it's been added onto a pizza as toppings, but it's not even seasoned. It's nothing. It was just bad. It was just outrightly bad. So I remember when the waitress came,
Yeah.
and we told her, this thing, it wasn't it. And then she tells us, people actually don't like it. So we're asking ourselves in the first place, then why did you allow us to order it if people don't like it and it's not doing well? So yeah, I feel some type of way if I pay for something and I actually don't enjoy it. I don't know whether I don't think it's just a chef thing. Basically, if you're going to a space and you're paying for it, you have to enjoy it.
Yeah. I would imagine I would want to enjoy it too.
Yeah.
When you work these long shifts, can you compare that to working in a kitchen, in a restaurant kitchen?
Working as a private chef and working as a restaurant chef or a hotel chef are very two different things.
Yeah.
Number one is the freedom to create, because you see sometimes restaurants have a menu and it's stuck up.
Yeah.
That's what you do every day, and that's boring. And the advantage I have is I have the freedom to cook what I want. Of course, based on the client's tastes and preferences, but I have the freedom to cook what I want. I have the freedom to create something, because sometimes I try not to say repeat, unless it was good. It was too good. Then we'd have to probably repeat it for a different client. But I try to, myself and my team, we try and just do different things. We discuss about them. We try and figure out, okay, what do you guys think about this? What do you think about this? If it's too mainstream, quote unquote, then we try and think of something different. But we try and bring out something that's completely, if guys are actually coming to enjoy the experience, then they'll walk out of that room or of that household and they feel like they actually enjoyed something,
Yeah. It was a unique experience.
Yes.
Would there be a difference in the way you cook pastries or the way you cook your meat and the way you cook your veggies? Is there generally a different style to how you would do them? I mean, the amount of time you take to prepare them?
Looking at pastries, for example, it's some of these things are time.
Yeah.
You just need time. So like for example, if we're going to a client and we're doing a dinner, and there's a dessert that probably needs time to, say, for example, chill or time to set, then those are the things that we start with.
Okay.
When it comes to veggies, then it's also treating vegetables in a way that they'll also be good. So like, for example, things like broccoli. It's because I'm on a phase right now of cooking broccoli in different ways.
Yeah.
And just having people enjoy them in different ways. Just trying to employ different flavors. So Asian flavors have me on a chokehold right now. So, going on with the, soy sauce, miso paste, sesame seeds, and that kind of vibe. I'm really enjoying that. So it's basically what I usually say is treat veggies as you would treat protein.
Okay. Well, what does that mean?
I mean, give it the same heart as you would give
Okay.
vegetables. I mean,
Protein.
yeah. So protein, vegetables. I mean, we can't. Of course, you can't marinate
Yeah.
vegetables, but just try and give it as much flavor as you can,
Yeah.
as opposed to just thinking of it as a side dish. So, don't want to have it as an afterthought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you saying this because most people would normally have veggies as an afterthought? It's you don't put a lot of work into it. I mean, you chop in your
I particularly
kale.
have. I feel some type of way about people who don't spend a lot of time thinking about side dishes.
Yeah.
If it's a side dish, then I mean, it's just not a side dish.
Mm-hmm.
Let it also complement other dishes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like for example, if it's rice, then try and. I mean, you could have a plain rice, but you can add things like maybe coconut oil or add some spice into it, some
Yeah.
Indian spices,
Mm-hmm.
such things. Just trying to have them in different styles for them so that they can be enjoyable.
Is it possible to find someone who's specialized, a chef who's only specialized in veggies or pastries or meats? I mean, that's my specialty, and that's all I do.
There are guys who are, so they'd say the way we'd have like vegan chefs. There are pastry chefs, people who just do pastry, different kinds. If we are talking meat, then guys who are focused on maybe barbecue, for example. So there are people who they have different niches. So there's someone who's probably going to focus on, I just want to do veggies all my
Yeah.
life. And there's someone who'll be like, I want to barbecue for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there are guys who are whatever. It's choosing your niche.
Okay.
Choose your niche.
I have seen people who go the extra mile of including technology in their cooking. And so I mean, there's simple things like having an electronic weigh scale, which I think is very normal. But then I've seen these guys. I have a cousin who once bought a machine that would tell him when his eggs would expire.
Sous vide machine. Eggs would expire.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So he puts the eggs in them and puts them in the fridge. When the eggs expire, it's going to send him a text, maybe a text or a notification on his phone and tell him, hey,
Yeah.
the 3 eggs in the back row of the container are expiring.
Yeah.
And I've seen these fridges that would tell you when your food is expiring. I guess they have a camera in there and it reads the expiry dates and all of the things that you put in
So
your
all
fridge.
that information.
Yeah,
and
and
then it
then it
transcribes.
tell you. So, do you see stuff like this also coming into, technology in general? Do you see it coming into your line of, your career?
Okay, that's a very interesting question.
Because and the reason why I'm asking this is because I think that your work is very hands-on.
Yes.
I mean, machines could help. Like
Yes.
the machine that I think would help is maybe a thermometer or something that's going to make
Work easier.
work easier. But how is that going to take away, especially from when you are making food at home? How is that going to change the food that's made at home, as opposed to like industrial food? Maybe in industrial settings or in like large restaurants, they can take advantage of these machines. But in a home setting, how do you see technology being used to make work easier, or how is it going to make your life harder?
So one thing is just to we are accepting the fact that tech is up there. It's out there. It's doing so many things. We have AI. There's so much going on, and those are some of the things we have to embrace.
Yeah.
Because we're moving with time. I'd say there's some things I would employ at work or even at home. Like there's this machine called a sous vide machine.
Okay.
It basically it kind of like cooks say for example like a steak.
Yeah.
So you'd have a steak and then it's put in a bag, vacuum sealed, and then into this machine look at like an aquarium for example, and then with with a machine that's dipped inside it, and then you have a setting, you have a certain temperature to so that you can cook this.
Okay.
And then so it doesn't like cook to. So there's certain things you can cook to completion.
Yeah.
But like, say for example, if it's a steak, because we have various levels of steak doneness, and if you want it to be done in a certain way, then you have the temperature, and then once it's seared, then you have whatever it is, whatever doneness that you like, compared to how much you cooked it. So those are some of the things that can help in terms of work, compared to just having so much, space for cooking certain things.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things we can embrace, of course, if people want to, because sous vide machines are not cheap. But I'm seeing a position where a lot of tech, I'm trying to see if I can, because it's something that I'd like to embrace, to bring tech and food. If they can make work easier, and it can be convenient and still achieve similar results, then why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
I have seen this machine recently that makes ugali. So ugali is a maize meal cake.
Yes.
Sort of, that is I think it's native to East Africa.
Yes.
Or Africa in general.
Yes.
I mean, many other cultures do have maize meals that are made into some sort of cake. But anyways, so have you seen that machine? I don't know if you've seen it.
I think I've come across some videos about it.
Yeah, I've seen videos too.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen it physically. I've seen videos.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think that's this the advent of all this saucepans that have some sort of mortar in them that are going to be then cooking food by themselves? And how does this change your career?
I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah.
Because for us, ugali is ugali. So we are two different cultures on this couch. You're from Kisi, I'm from Kindu Bay.
Yeah.
Our ugalis are different.
I grew up in Kindu Bay.
So you can imagine the Kisi ugali in that thing. Is it going to do it the right way?
I don't think so.
Because it has to be cooked in a certain way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think maybe it works for a substandard kind of like recipe, like the Jogo maize meal, for instance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it can work for that. What does it do for the career? I don't think it really has an impact.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think so.
Because I think people are looking for the skill set, right?
Yeah. I mean, when you look at it right now, especially like Nairobi, maybe that would be something to add to a culinary experience.
Yeah.
So you show people how this thing can actually, make ugali.
Yeah.
Instead of going there with elbow grease and trying to make the ugali. So I don't think it really has an impact, or rather like a negative impact in this career.
Yeah, we've talked about levels of done meat. So I don't know, what is your experience like with with meat that is different levels of done meat? Because from my culture, and I guess a bunch of other people who grew up in my culture, they would want meat that is well done. Anything that looks red is just uncooked. It's raw.
Right.
There's a time I've gone to a restaurant with my supervisor and we tried out raw fish. It wasn't sushi. I don't know what it's called. It's called something
ceviche.
else. Maybe that's what it's called. I don't know. Man, these guys were enjoying the food and they were asking for more of it, like their side dish. And in my head, I'm like, man, Terry, where do you bring me today, man? And they were enjoying the food and they were asking for more. Eventually, I tried out some of it. I mean, but I didn't really like it, but I tried it out because I always try these foods, even if I don't like them, because of the experience. So, what is your experience like with the levels of done meat in the different, client bases that you have?
So I like my steak medium rare.
Okay.
it's just
Okay, first of all, how many levels of
so
doneness are
so,
there?
so we have rare, which is raw,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's blue,
Okay.
which is close to raw,
Okay.
and then we have medium rare.
Which is what you like.
So yes, so basically it's just been seared
Mm-hmm.
on a skillet or a pan on both sides for a short while, and then we have there's what we call medium to well,
Okay.
and then there's medium,
Oh,
and then there's well done,
okay.
which sometimes I say is congratulations.
Why congratulations?
I mean, why are we chewing on steak for a very long time? So those are the levels.
Yeah.
But just to, I know this is a debate that people will always have, because like once you cut into, say for example, a medium rare steak, like it's not blood oozing out. It's basically it's not blood. The animal is dead.
Yeah.
We can't have blood like that.
Yeah.
They say it's like hemoglobin.
Okay.
So because of the hemoglobin in the meat, then that's what results into that water that looks like blood.
Okay.
So, but then again, people have preferences. I just didn't wake up eating medium rare steak. I had to figure it out. What is this?
Yeah.
Like, why this? And when you get a good quality steak, then it is, I'd say, in my opinion, because my chef assistant friend does not approve of medium rare steak. So once you have it, there's certain qualities of steak. Once you cook it to that doneness of well done, then it's sort of like ruining the steak. I mean, it's an expensive steak, so enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's more of preferential doneness for people. So like in terms of work, I've been to places where my clients can dare not eat well done steak.
Okay.
Because why are you cooking for us well done steak? So guys are a lot of my clientele are more of like medium rare people. Although you'll have some who will probably call you to the side. I'm like, can you please cook this steak more for me?
Yeah.
So yeah, as I say, preferences.
Yeah, and I also, when you talk about preferences, I also think there's some people who will look at your meat and say like, man, that guy doesn't know how to cook meat. Because it's not well done. I mean, you probably used to something that's well done. They're like, man, he gives you raw food, man. That guy will kill you.
I mean, but also just we can't just wake up and go cook for a client and cook for them medium rare steak without having asked
what they want.
So we'd have to ask them, how would you like the steak prepared? And some will say prepare some medium rare, prepare some probably medium to well.
Yeah.
So that at least now you don't have battles on the dining table.
Where people are like, man, who did you bring here?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we talked about let's go back to your where we started. So you as a private chef. So this is going back to your Instagram profile.
Yes.
So you're also a restaurant consultant. So what is a restaurant consultant?
So restaurant consultancy, basically, you'd have, say, for example, there are restaurants that have already come up, and they're probably looking for people to come and, reevaluate the menu or retrain staff or, just make some changes to the menu to their restaurant that are going to be complementary in terms of just, gaining more profit or getting more clientele, having more clientele retention. So basically, I would, if I'm consulting, then we consult and trying to, probably there's a problem. So figuring out the problem, how are we going to solve the problem, how long is it going to take us to solve the problem, and such things. If it's a menu, a new menu, they need a new menu, then of course we need to develop it. There's time that goes into it. So, we kind of like craft a program and say some of these things can take they can even take up to 6 months, depending on how large the space is,
Yeah.
and probably what kind of menu they're looking at. So it could take 6, it could take 3 months, it could take 2 months. So depending. Yeah. So that service that I particularly offer is, I would say, a service that I'm offering for, to heal the part of me that cannot own a restaurant right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if there is a way in which I can help, then I go and put all my energy into it.
Yeah.
And help them grow, help them move. Yeah. So if there are things that they need from me, if there are things that, because restaurant business is big, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's a bleeding money kind of business, because money needs to keep on going into it. So just looking at supply, looking at staff, training, because training also needs money.
Yeah.
So it's if you're putting in the money, then it has to translate into probably marginal profits that make sense. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there are guys who come up with restaurants and they probably don't take long, but then again, it's patience. It's a patience kind of industry, but as I say, it still bleeds money. Yeah, it bleeds money, which is very interesting because Nairobi has so many new restaurants cropping up. So
Yeah.
guys have money, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, and it's very interesting. You travel across Africa, man. All these African cities. You go to Johannesburg or even Kampala or Lagos, man. There's this fine dining restaurants, man.
Yes.
And you're like, people have so much money to go into these restaurants.
Yeah.
And
I mean, there is a market for
Yeah.
certain things. Fine dining, just regular dining, or kibanda dining. There's a market for all these things. So you'll definitely find a lot of fine dining spaces across Africa, which is a good thing.
yeah.
Which is a good thing. It's good to see we Africans winning and just coming up with, interesting ways of making people enjoy food. And it's also a way of seeing how creative people can be.
Yeah.
Because there are some creative people out here, and I think it's a good thing to see. It's healthy to see.
In terms of creative with their spaces or creative with the food they
Creative with the food, basically, and even the spaces, but mostly even with the food. You see African chefs opening spaces and trying to, putting traditional food, but polishing it.
Yeah.
And having that as an experience to people. I think that's quite a thing to do, especially with traditional food. Traditional food it's not easy to polish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy to polish. So unless you have the creativity to, figure it out, then you know what you're doing. But it's not an easy thing to do. So that's why I'd say, hats off to such guys.
You're also a casual and course meal dining expert. So what is the difference between casual and course dining?
So casual meal dining, so it's basically the business that I'm doing.
Yeah.
As a private chef. So it's part of the services that I'm offering.
Yeah.
So when people are looking to host, or people who are looking to have a different dining experience, then I have those two. So we have casual meal dining, what we'd probably call as family style dining, like how you'd have food prepared, it's laid on the table, and people can just serve whatever it is that they want from the table, and enjoy it as they would, and of course replenishing. So it's what we would say with your buffet kind of a thing, only that now take away the chefing dishes and you have these nice ceramic plates and things just looking nice and with delicious looking food. And then we have the course meal dining, where I provide the service of food in different courses. So we can have probably food from one course to 4 courses or one course to 6 courses,
Yeah.
depending. So it just moves up the scale.
Yeah.
So we would have like a small appetizer, follow it up maybe with another appetizer that's much more, has more mouth feel compared to the first, and then having different main courses. So you can have like a white meat dish or a vegetarian dish,
Yeah.
and then follow it up with a red meat dish,
Mm-hmm.
and probably finish with maybe have what you call a palate cleanser,
Yeah.
in between, so that it's also part of the experience, so that guys can actually enjoy that dining experience. And then we always have dessert as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, dessert, my favorite thing in the world.
I got a sweet tooth, man.
Yeah.
I think growing up, I used to love everything sweet, but over the past, I think 2 months, I've been trying to cut down on the sugar and sweet stuff. I don't know that experience is gonna be, but I love sweet stuff, man. Yeah.
I feel you. I
Mm-hmm.
feel you. I'm currently on a workout program,
Mm-hmm.
and there are things that I just can't have the way I used to have. So
Yeah.
so just the portion control. So if it's like a brownie, I'll have a very small portion.
Yeah.
Or if it's a slice of cake, then it's just one slice of
Mm-hmm.
cake. But yeah, I feel you on the sugar.
Yeah.
Sugar is good, but it also fuels a lot of things.
Yeah. Some time back, I actually cut out all the carbs in my diet. I did a ketogenic diet for 30 days, no carbs for 30
Oh,
days.
is it? How did that play out?
Man, I wanted to lose weight around my midsection. I ended up losing all the weight around my cheeks. So I had a very thin face and a very big belly.
Oh,
So
very
you
interesting.
can imagine what that looks like. But I
Yeah.
think it's because I probably didn't do it long enough, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe I wasn't exercising enough.
Right.
I do a 5 kilometer walk or a 10 kilometer run every other day.
Yeah.
And so I interchanged the two. And I think maybe I needed to do a little bit more cardio and maybe work out in the gym too, so that I could work on the belly.
Yeah.
Because, man, all that did was, I think my body was fighting to look for ways to find energy, and maybe
Yeah.
the fat in my cheeks
Energy was in your cheeks.
was the easiest energy to find.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you also do meal preps.
Yes.
Okay. And so do you find that people, more people are now doing meal preps as opposed to long ago? And do you think this has been made possible by maybe technology or busy lives and stuff like that?
My experience with meal prep came as a result of COVID.
Okay. So first of all, what are meal preps?
So meal prep, basically look at it like, I want to get home, I want to find food. I don't want to cook.
Okay.
So can I get someone to do it for me? So that's why I come in. I cook for clients food, at least for like 5 to 7 days.
Okay.
2 weeks if probably you have the freezer space.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically what I do for like my Monday to Friday. So I have clients who get that service. So yeah, so it can be a very healthy based meal plan. So you're probably cutting down on carbs. So we also do that whole measure food. Like if it's carbs, if you're doing like 70 grams or 100 grams, we do that measurement, the protein and the vegetables. So that's basically how we do it.
Yeah. And so
Day
you're
to
saying
day.
that you did it from when COVID started?
Yeah, so when COVID hit, I remember I was working for a restaurant, and the first case of COVID that came, never forget that date, March 13th. It hit a lot of us by surprise, and regulations started coming in. Restaurants are cutting down on staff, and I ended up being part of the people who were, laid off. So I remember I was laid off on the next month, April. And there were those 3 months of uncertainty, or should I say 4, and trying to figure out what am I going to do about myself? How am I going to get back to work? How am I going to get back into the kitchen? And I think once things started to ease, that's when I figured maybe meal prep could be
Yeah.
the thing, because then again, people were not ordering from restaurants. Uh, People preferred food cooked from home
Yeah.
with ingredients they've bought and they can see.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I would come in. And I think things just picked up because it seemed like it was a gap that people had been looking for. So that made up much of my business. That's how it boomed.
Yeah.
I'd say COVID was my boom year. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's what I've done since 2020
Mm-hmm.
till now. Still doing it, not as heavily though,
Mm-hmm.
because we have other things. The people who are having parties, the people who are doing different things that require, my skill set.
Yeah.
So that's how I've come to not do it as much. But yeah, that's how I came to do meal prep.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'm one thing I'm proud of, Michael, is the fact that you went into something that you loved, or something that you love.
Yes.
And people out there say that if you are working, or if you're doing something that you love as your day to day in your career,
Yeah.
you're not working. You're basically living life. And man, I can sit here and tell you as a testimony, man, Michael, you are living life. And I think you're also doing a wonderful job. I look at the posts that you put up there, and I've listened to a bunch of your clients and how they praise the work that you do. And I think you're doing an amazing job, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We need to hear that. So it's a good booster for confidence.
Yeah.
But I think that's good. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
If you want to get Michael's services, you can always hit him up on his Instagram. What's your Instagram?
My Instagram is Chef Michael James.
Okay.
You can't miss it.
And do you have any other socials?
I'm just currently on Instagram. I tried TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the energy.
The consistency, man.
It's tough. I mean, even Instagram right now
Yeah.
with the algorithm and all that, it's it needs you to be on toes, keep on posting every other time to
Yeah.
reach as many people as possible. But I mean, it does bring in business. I mean, like for example, today I had 2 clients reach out for birthday parties for next month. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And mostly also word of mouth is what I'd say has really propelled me to where I am. But also the social media presence is good. So I'm also just trying to work on being more consistent. When you're not good at something, like, for example, video work and photography, for instance, then you get someone to do it so that I just focus on the food. So things are going to change in due course.
Yeah.
We'll have more content coming up on the page and a lot of interesting content, that is.
Yeah. I look at pictures. Sometimes I look at restaurant menus and the pictures that they have in their menus and the food that comes on their plate.
Totally different.
I think they hired a super photographer and a super, photo editor who brought like this nice food. And sometimes when the food that you get on the plate, man, it's like, is this food from 3 days ago?
I mean, you have to sell with the images.
Yeah.
People have to sell with the images, but I think now the disconnect is now when things are not. You can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
Like you can literally tell the difference. Like, this doesn't look like what I actually saw. So, I mean, if anything, the clients who have picked out things on my Instagram page and they're like, "Can I have this?" And this is going to be the same. And sometimes people ask, "Are these stock photos? Are they downloaded photos?" Like, no, not at all. And we just come and prove ourselves that they're actually not downloaded. So yeah, if I can access people who are good at it, then that's what I'm going to do. Same way, if you're running a business and you need to do accounts and pay taxes, then you'll definitely get an accountant.
Yep, true.
Yeah.
Chef Michael James, MJ. Folks, this is the Couch Connect. I've been hanging out with Chef Michael James today. My name is Joab. I will be seeing you soon in another episode. Till then, do take care.